Hi guys, you like my glasses? No, not really. Oh, well, lucky for you, that's what this video is all about. I'm sure that there are times in our lives where we've either really wanted something or really wanted to be with someone and it just didn't work out the way that we had planned in our minds. So today, me, Tim Spence, your host, Trusted Troublemaker, I will be explaining how I personally deal with rejection. Now, as a man, first and foremost, I would like to say I come equipped with a rejectometer, which is a higher tolerance for rejection than, let's say, our female counterparts. Now, that might be controversial to some, but in my defense, I have very rarely met men who weren't looking for something. Now, for most women that I've met, they're looking for a specific type of thing. I mean, they're either looking for whatever is they're looking for, but it's a little bit more specific. Guys that I know, that I've known throughout my life, tend to be a little bit more, if she likes me, I can learn to like her. It's just, I'm glad somebody's looking in my direction for more than 10 seconds without disgust. So I think we got us a winner. Now, I don't usually approach people in general, male or female, for any type of interaction unless I really have to. Just because I've gone through moments throughout my life where I was rejected without even asking a question. Like I just showed up and it's like, no. It's like, but no. Just no. Whatever it is, whatever it was yesterday, whatever it is today, whatever it's going to be tomorrow, it's going to be a no. Just put on your whole schedule from January to December, and the year after that, it's going to be a no every single day. I'm like, okay. I once had a woman kick me in the face when I thought we were just talking. I don't know what she thought I was trying to do, but yeah, I got a whole tennis shoe footprint on my face for quite some time, and that was around the time I decided to just kind of stick to myself because I didn't want that to happen again. But typically, I mean, I've gone through so many moments like that where I just kind of, I'm not going to say I expect it. It's just, I go into life, whether it's meeting someone or doing something with no expectations. Not low expectations, just no expectations. So this way, I can adjust better to whatever the circumstance may be. Now, some people that go in with high hopes and, things don't go their way and they're just utterly devastated. They're just like, I just thought, like, I just knew she was going to like me. And it's, what am I going to do? I'm going to be alone. And it's like, okay, buddy, relax, And people with low expectations, they're like, something good can happen. It can go right. And they're like, oh, really? You want to do that? Okay, that's cool. And it's like, you got everything you wanted and you're not excited about it. But I feel like having no expectations, because first, let's look at it like when it comes to people. When it comes to like, you like somebody. You want to go out with somebody. You want to ask them out. The first thing I've realized is that people got options. People have a lot of options out there. People have so many options. The world is a place full of people. Especially if you're dealing with someone who's been out of like their local environment and they've seen other people in different places, so they know that there's more than just what's in front of them. So I can't take that personally. I mean, if I sell myself based on what I have to offer, that might not be what you're looking for. And you can quite easily, I'll even admit that you can quite easily find what it is you're really trying to seek. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's also works to my favor because I know with there being so many options out there that I will most likely be someone's option. I hope, maybe, perhaps, I don't know. But I think that's what we always have to keep in mind. We have to know that we're not the only person that this person has to choose from. We don't have the only thing that someone can get. Like, there are a lot of ways to get what you want in life. It's just like with a job. I mean, somebody might say no, or somebody else might say no. That doesn't mean that you're not qualified. Now, if you want to be a rocket scientist and you've never taken a science class, then, you might be in trouble. But even with that, okay, you're trying to qualify for something. You want to measure up to some type of standard. That takes a requirement on your part to do what you have to do to meet that standard. I mean, you could always change the standard, but 9 times out of 10, that's going to be even harder to pull off if you're not even willing to reach the standard. And I mean, that has nothing to do with acceptance, is that we all have a criteria, whether we want to admit to it or not. We all have a criteria. Like, there are just certain people I won't have around me. There are just certain people I won't have in my life. That doesn't mean I dislike them. That just means that in the long term, we're not going to be compatible. If you're not doing anything for me as a person, if you're not helping me grow, or at least making me feel better about my day, then what do I got you around for? And that's not me rejecting you. And even if it is, that's my choice whether I want to have you near me or be a part of my life, because I got options as friends. I got a lot of options to have people as friends. But that's not to say that who you are as a person isn't somebody else's cup of tea. You ever been in situations where you have a friend who has a friend that you can't stand? Like, you want nothing to do with this person, but your friend is like, oh man, I really like this person. Like, we have a good time. Like, I like what they talk about. And has nothing to do with your friend's standards or whatever. That's just, you see this person differently than they do. You don't have the same connection that your friend has with this person or what they have. It's just like with food. Like, I don't like peanut butter. Like, peanut butter makes me feel like I'm getting punched in the face over and over again. I like peanut butter flavored things. But peanut butter, a jar of peanut butter, you put that in my mouth, you tie me up and force me to eat peanut butter, I'm going to tell you I'm going to tell you all the codes. I'm going to tell you everything. Don't tase me, don't put me, dump me in a vat full of sharks. Just feed me a spoonful of peanut butter. I'm going to tell you everything you want to know. But that doesn't mean I reject peanut butter. I don't hate it. It's just how peanut butter tastes to me. And you have to look at it like that. I mean, some people like apples, some people like oranges, some people like apples and oranges, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think when I learned that, because it took me a while, because when I was younger and someone didn't like me, I took it really personally. I thought that it was just me as a human being, that I just did something that just turned people off. And for a long time, I didn't say anything to people. I didn't talk to people. And then finally, I got recognized by the long-term friends that I have now because they were going through the same thing. But just with that point of view, I mean, that means that there is someone out there for someone. It's up to you to seek that out. And we have to learn to not take things personally. I mean, just as easily as someone can tell you, like, I really don't like you. this whole thing you got going on, I can't stand that. You'd be like, wow. I mean, that's rude, definitely, but that's how that person feels. I mean, it's incumbent upon them, not you, because they told you they felt this way. It's incumbent upon them to explain why they don't feel that way, if you care, because, I mean, you gotta have a reason to not like somebody. But at the same time, I don't have to engage in that. Of course, it depends on the environment. Like in a workplace, for instance, you have coworkers that you're not very fond of. They're not very fond of you. But hopefully, in that environment, you have some type of common ground where it's like, we got to work together to get this done. Now, if you can't see a middle ground between that, then somebody's got to go. That's my opinion. Somebody's got to go. But it's nothing personal. It's just not everybody's meant to get along with everybody. That's a fact. I mean, you have some personalities that just conflict. Some people like loud noises, some people like quiet. It's going to be very hard for those two people to find a common ground because they're so opposite on their spectrums. Now, you might find someone who likes loud noises and someone who wants to live in the city. There you go. They have that common ground. Because if you live in a city, there's typically a lot of loud noises. So you guys will just be, banging trash cans all night, if that's your thing. But I've learned that if I want something, if I want to get something, if I want to feel something, it has to be me to seek that out. And I have to be prepared for the no's, but I also have to be prepared for the yeses, because the worst thing about rejection is it puts us in a position where we're so used to no. We're so used to being told it's not going to work out. They're not going to want you. They're not going to like you, that we don't even plan for a yes. That I've done this so many times where like I got what I wanted and I didn't know what to do with it. Because I had no plan. I had no thought. I had no idea that this was going to work out. So the pressure was on me at that point in time. I said, I'm gonna screw this up. I'm gonna ruin this whole thing, because I had no forward-thinking thought on how to make this work once I got it. And so before we go into any situation, whether it's like asking someone out, looking for a job, I say, okay, what are you going to do when you get this? If you get this, what's going to be the next step after that? Because it's going to be just as much pressure to keep it up as it is to get to build it up, to the same effort you put into building yourself up to get turned down, you're going to have to put forth that same effort to keep it up once you've actually gotten what you thought you were going to get. And I think that's, for a lot of people, I think we fear that. We fear getting everything that we wanted because we're so used to rejection. And I think the biggest way to combat rejection for me throughout my life is once I realized I have no shame. I'm shameless. So that means that I don't really care about how someone perceives me if I'm expressing myself. Because there comes a point in time in my life where certain things have reached a boiling point where if I don't say anything, I'm gonna explode. I don't know how, but I just know it's not gonna be the way I want it. It's not gonna come out the way I want to say it. So I'd rather say it, have you look at me crazy, which I can deal with that. I have no problem thinking anybody thinking I'm crazy. I'm cool with that. I prefer you think I'm crazy. I prefer that. Makes it easier for me to do what I'm trying to accomplish. But I just think we put the pressure we put on ourselves really plays a part. Like, if you're coming towards someone and you're not confident in what it is you're trying to convince them of, why should they be confident? Why? if they already know you're expecting them to reject you, what incentive do they have not to do it? Just to make you feel better? I mean, they don't. How do you know they care about how you feel? Now, if you come and say, "Look, this is what I want, and this is what I'm willing to do to get it," how does that make you feel? And they're like, "Well, if you put it like that, that might make me get my old wheels a turning. I wasn't expecting you to make such a chilling proposition." But yeah, I think we gotta stop thinking about the approval or the rejection. Just forget about that entirely. We have to think about, what are we trying to obtain? What are you trying to get? What do you want? And how bad do you want it? What are you willing to do to convince anyone of what it is that you want? You know, and I remember I had a conversation with a girl. She was talking about how she liked a guy, but she was too scared to tell him how he liked her. But she had a pattern of guys previously who she never said how she felt, and they just ended up being with some other girl. And I'm like, that's no way to live. If you like him, I mean, because those feelings aren't going to go away, and you're going to become more and more resentful towards yourself because you have no initiative, and then you're just going to keep missing opportunity after opportunity of guys that you find attractive coming along, making you feel some type of way, and you just never say anything. Because somebody has to take the first step. And I think when you are the one that takes the first step, you kind of dictate the pace. You're saying that this is what I'm trying to achieve. Are you with me? And they can either say yes or no. And that allows you the freedom of making the decision after that. Yeah, it might not feel the way you want it to feel, but hey, you're free now. You can move on. You should move on and not become a stalker and be outside of somebody's window at 4 a.m. That's not what you want to do. That's why it's very important that you learn at some point in time how to handle rejection, because if you don't, there is probably going to be repercussions. But it's a freeing to me. It's freeing. It allows me to breathe and say, okay, I tried that. That didn't work. Let me go on to something else. And you can even revisit certain things. Like maybe it just wasn't the time for all that. Maybe that just wasn't the moment in your life when you needed that to happen. And now, years later, the opportunity has arisen. And you might not even want it. You might not be like, you know what? I moved on. I got other things going on. I'm not interested anymore. You still might want it. And they might come around and they might have a change of perspective. Now, you have to ask yourself, are you going to go down the road of finding out why they had a change of perspective? Because that can cause some strange feelings where it's like, oh, so you had to go to jail a few times for you to realize that that wasn't what you wanted. Okay. All right, that makes sense. But, I mean, that's up to you. That's a personal choice. I'm just saying that I believe there's a certain freedom to not rejecting yourself first. I think that's what we do a lot of times. We reject ourselves first before we even give anybody else a chance to do it. And so we just go through life feeling defeated. And like I said previously, that's no way to live. That's not a way to function through life. You have to go in saying, whatever it is, whether it works out, whether it doesn't, I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to do whatever it is I can to make an effort so that people notice that I'm trying to work towards this. I'm going to let you know how I feel. And whether you like it, whether you don't, you know how I feel and what I said, and you can do with that whatever it is you want. Now, I'm not saying go up and cuss people out. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if it's something you're that passionate about, if it's going through your mind, because like I said, it's very hard for certain feelings to go away, and it's just, you would rather be in control of it on your own terms than to this. You have a few sips of happy juice and like, well, let me tell you something. I've been liking you for a long time now, and I'm not taking no for an answer. And that's going to be a little awkward if you approach it that way. And yeah, but I try not to sweat it. I try not to get too caught up in it. You know, like I said, I've had many moments in my life where I was let down without even doing anything. I sat still in the living room, and somehow, some way, somebody found a way to disappoint me. And whenever you deal with anything outside of yourself, you're running the risk of disappointment. I mean, if you can let yourself down, which many of us do time and time again, why won't anybody else let you? If you're supposed to care about yourself, right? Hypothetically, no, anybody else would. I mean, what happens to you doesn't necessarily affect. Doesn't You're not like symbiotically connected where what happens to you happens to them. Like they got no reason. But at least at the very end, if you said something and you brought it to their attention, they can say, "Well, wow, now I know how you feel," and that burden is lifted, and you can either harp on it, which I don't suggest you do, or you can move on. Because, as I said at the beginning of this video, you always have options. They might not always be the options you want. And that's typically, like, if you're like me, you made certain decisions in life where you're limited in the options that you can make. Because if you make certain decisions, things will not go the way you want them to. But I still have options. And based on my life, I have to work with those options. I have to make those options work for me up until better options become available. And that's exactly what I plan to do. But that's all for me, folks. Let me just say this. You know, I was going through some issues last week. I'm just trying to get my head back in the game. I was just, I go through some emotional things, but I'm trying to be consistent with this because this is what I want to do. I want to talk to you guys. I want to express how I feel. I want to help brighten your days and just put out as much content as I can and just show you guys you can do the same. Just tell your story. Just talk about your day. Talk about how you feel. And if you like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you can get a pop-up or whenever my new videos show up. And I'm looking to get into a refinement of this. I want to take this show on the road and give you guys the best product I can possibly offer. And I'm working on it. But yeah, my name is Tim Spence, aka Trusted Troublemaker. My Snapchat is Trust for Trouble. My IG is Trusted Troublemaker. And look for content on those. My outings, things I'm eating, things I just feel like babbling on and on and on and on and on about. But don't sweat rejection, folks. It's a part of life. And when one door closes, another one opens. I know that's a cliche, but I mean, you never know what wasn't meant for you. You never know what was meant for you. All you have to do is give everything your best shot. And I believe in you. If you feel like nobody else does, I always believe in you, and I always love you. And I hope you have a great evening, everybody. Most of you who will check my Facebook link will see this uploaded on Friday morning. Enjoy. We got football back, folks. Hopefully you're all looking forward to that if you care. If not, oh well, watch something else. You guys have a great night. I will be seeing you in my second video, which I will be hopefully posting in the morning. Good night. Be good. And as always, trust me to trouble you.